Okay guys, so I've got a laptop here, an ASUS laptop. Guy brought me in. He also brought me in a universal adapter with loads of ends on it, yeah, and it looks like one of these ends that appears to fit in the side of this machine. He says it's dead, yeah, that's the claim, that the thing's dead, so I'm assuming it doesn't power at all. There's a bit of something stuck in it. I have noticed that it sounds like there's something rattling a bit inside it. It was the other day. Can't hear it now. Maybe it was just that bit of plastic I found in here that was rattling. Okay, so we have a dead laptop, so I think we'll connect this to a power supply and let's see what it does. So, I mean, normally I'd probably connect this to my bench power supply, and I may well end up doing that in a minute, but he brought it in with this. He said he'd got a new power supply and it still wasn't working. So, let's put his new power supply to the test, shall we? We'll plug it in, switch it on, and we'll see what happens. And the answer is nothing. So, nothing's lighting up. No LEDs, no charge lights, nothing, yeah. So this appears to be dead, basically. If we could assume this power supply is actually working, might just be worth sticking the voltmeter on this, just to see if this is actually giving us any voltage out of it or not. So we can see. Yeah, 19 volts. Okay. Okay, so I think the first thing we need to do this is basically get the thing opened up and let's have a look to see what's inside it. So the first thing I can see is the hard drive just rattling around. I've just taken the cover off, basically. Yes, I've just taken the cover off here and the battery off here. We seem to have a broken connector on the battery, but I don't think that's actually causing the problem. I'll just zoom down a bit on it for you. Yeah, so this seems to be kind of broken here, the plastic. But I mean, you can see a terminal inside there. I'm guessing it's probably making a connection. And the pins all go that way it plugs into. As I say, the hard drive is just kind of like was just rattling around loose, yeah, and the two screws were just lying around inside here, so that's what I could hear rattling around. Oh, and in fact there isn't a hard drive on it, yeah, so that's been taken off. It's got a couple of RAM on here. I think I may as well take his RAM out as well, and I'll probably just open it up so we can get inside and just measure some voltages to see if any power is actually getting inside this. Actually, I just tried to connect the power to here, and it made like a loud click, as though, well, a fairly loud click, as though maybe there's something short in here and drawing quite a bit of power from the power supply. Let's see if the power supply is still running. Unless it was just made a click just because I got a contact and it's just a few amps going into it. Yeah, power supply still running. If I can find a suitable end on my bench power supply, actually, that might give me an idea of what sort of current this is drawing, because that definitely made like a crack, like a spark sound, you know, when I pushed that in there. So yeah, we can also try this on the bench power supply as well and see if maybe there's something short inside this. Okay, so I've got it open. Like most people, I just look on YouTube for a teardown. Yeah, just put the model number. This, by the way, is an ASUS. I'll tell you what it is exactly. It's an ASUS K53S. Yeah, K53S. So I just googled for that, went to YouTube and looked for teardown, and soon figured out how to get this thing apart. Okay, so I've got the motherboard here now. I can see this is the power connector coming in. So the first thing I want to do is have a look to see if I have any voltage here, or if there's a short. In fact, no. Let me just check for shorts first, just out of interest. See if there's a short from here to ground. So I'm guessing the outside of any of these here is ground, and this is where the power comes in. So this is ground. Yeah, it doesn't. If that's where the power's coming in, then it doesn't look like we have a short at least. Okay, let's attach the power supply to it. Let's go to volts range. Let's switch the power on. Well, let's see if we have some voltage here. I'm guessing we should have 19. Yeah. So there's power coming into it. It just doesn't do anything. I think probably I'm going to have to open this up a little bit further. What's on the CMOS? Yeah, that one's changing. Okay, I think I'm going to get this board out so we can perhaps have a look and figure out maybe if we can connect the on-off switch as well. Yeah, so we can, you know, effectively work on this and try and power it up. Okay guys, so I've got the circuit board out. The first thing I notice here is that there's some bad soldering down by this. This is where the power connector comes in, yeah. So I have the this is the little board with the on-off switch on. So this is the actual on-off switch. It's an orange thing here, and I can feel it clicking slightly. So one thing we can test if we need to early on is whether this switch is actually switching the board. So looks like there's 5 pins coming down here, and I'm pretty much assuming that one of the pins will probably have like 5 volts on or 3.3, and when you press this switch it will go to 0, much the same as an on-off switch on the desktop motherboard, yeah. But we can figure that out where this is connected to. This is the power connector coming in. So this soldering doesn't look very clever around here, and especially on this side of the board. Let me zoom it down. You can see what I'm seeing. Okay, so somebody has obviously been in here with a soldering iron, yeah, and it's a mess. So it could just be we got a broken connection here. I think if we take this heatsink assembly off, so it fastens to the processor, and I'm guessing this is the GPU. It says on the front of this has some sort of GeForce graphics, yeah. And this looks like video RAM, so I'm pretty sure that's what that is. This will be your processor. So if we get this off, we should be able to have a look to see what's happening with the soldering down here. So I've taken the heatsink off, the fan off, yeah, and this is a mess. I'll get some flux and solder braid on this. I'll just switch the soldering iron on and try and clean this off first, so we can have a look to see what's going on underneath here, yeah. It looks like it goes to this FET here. I'm guessing this is probably a FET. Can't be sure. I'd have to check the part number. Yeah, and it goes off over here. I think these are FETs, I'm sure. So that's where the seems to go. But I want to look at this. It's a mess. Even if it's not a bad connection, it needs sorting out, to be honest. So let's get a bit of flux on this, and let's just try and clean this off and see what's underneath it. There we go. I've just got a lot of the worst off that. I'll just get a little bit more off. Sorry, that went up my throat a little bit. Let's get a little bit more off that, and we'll get a bit of isopropyl. We'll clean this up, and let's have a look to see what's actually going on here. Okay. So a bit of isopropyl alcohol. Let me just give this a clean. Looks like somebody scratched away at the board here as well, previously for some reason. Okay, let's clean that up. A little bit of kitchen roll, and then we'll be able to see what's underneath this little mess. Okay, I've cleaned it off. It doesn't look too bad. We can have a look. We can just check from here, the back of the connector to. It obviously goes to this, which is almost certainly a MOSFET. Yeah, and it's connecting to there. I can also actually just connect from the pin inside the connector as well to be certain. Yeah, I've got a connection there. Okay, so nothing as simple as that, unfortunately. But it's a lot cleaner now, it looks a lot better. I'll get a bit of fresh solder on that and make it a little bit better than that still. So it looks, it obviously goes, this must be a MOSFET, and the power is getting to here, and then it appears it comes out this way. So I'll look up the part number for this, but it looks from the circuit track, that's the gate. There's 4, so this will be drain or source, this will be source or drain, yeah, and this goes up over here somewhere. Yeah, you hear it bleeping. So from this side of it goes up over here, it's another MOSFET, and then it looks like we have after this MOSFET probably a buck regulator. Let's have a look under the microscope and see if we can see what some of these components actually are. Okay, so the 19 volts is coming in here, yeah, and we do have a connection. We can measure the 19 volts on this MOSFET here, but let's just clean this up while we're at it, because it's a bit of a mess. So let's just fix that problem first. So get a bit of flux on that, a bit of leaded solder, and see if I can just improve that soldering quite a bit, yeah, so we can make a better job of this. It's a bit mucky, that is, to be honest. It's seems to be somewhat contaminated with something. Soldering's really okay, but just really want to solder this pen. I can see now why the other person obviously had a problem with this, because it's not it's difficult to get enough heat into it. I'll just put the soldering iron up onto boost, so that turns it up to about 380 degrees from about 330. See if we can get a little bit more heat into this now. Otherwise I could warm the whole thing with the hot air and effectively get this soldered better. Yeah, I still don't like that. Go again. I think that's better. I think the solder's gone underneath it. Definitely not the easiest thing to solder, this is for sure. Put some heat onto the end of this. It's like whatever this is made of, the connector at the end of here doesn't solder, yeah. It's like it's made of some sort of metal that doesn't actually solder. That's interesting. Guys, all I've managed to do is make it worse, yeah. Kudos to the last bloke who tried to solder this, because he did a better job of it than I'm doing. Okay, so I've tried to solder this, and I figured out eventually that the pin here is broken off. I'm sure this should go at right angles and down through this hole here, and then soldered both sides. But what I've managed to do since I was trying to solder that, I eventually did get it to solder. I effectively formed a bit of solder braid around that and down to here flat and soldered it, and I got a connection then. But the problem I was finding, if I just put my meter, I'll put it where you can see it. Yeah, there you go, it's on continuity, well, yeah, continuity mode, not diode mode, yeah. So what I'm finding now is that from the outside of this to this connection, I've actually got a short. Yeah, there. Now, I didn't have a short before because I had 19 volts on here. It's not soldered to the end of the pin, but I don't have a short there. The short's on this stretch. I desoldered here. It was like a blob of solder. These like, they put them on so you can just unsolder and effectively isolate parts of the circuit. It's to help you debug, yeah. So on this side of it, this is where we have the short. Yeah, and this side is okay. Yeah, this pin actually goes through the board here. If we look on the other side, just get to it there. Yeah, I also had to unsolder the blob here, so again there was a blob of solder across this. Yeah, so from this side we have a short. Yeah, and this side is okay, same as on the other side of the board. Yeah, and all I can see is it looks like there's a capacitor. This capacitor's on this side because there's no short there. Yeah, okay. If we go on the other side of the board, there you go. We can do the same sort of thing. So I'll connect to ground. This is where the short is. Yeah, and this capacitor here is on the short, and then the other two are connected to this side of this break. Yeah, so I've taken the blob of solder off, and there's no short here, and there's nothing else connecting to this. I mean, the connector itself is desoldered. Yeah, so that's not connected to it. There's no stray bits of solder gone down here. You can see underneath it. Yes, there's no bits of solder down there that I can see that can be causing a short. Yeah, nothing for it to go to. And I've looked on both sides of this. I mean, let's go to the other side of it. Yeah, let's just get under the microscope again. There's nothing down in that gap. Yeah, that's causing a short. So I just don't think there is. So I'm wondering now, either if this capacitor is shorted, or something's happened with this trace as it goes through the board. So I'm okay from the end of here, but this trace somehow is shorted. So I'm going to take this capacitor off, and this is something that I've caused, yeah, while I was getting a lot of heat in here, but it just seems strange that this capacitor would fail, just because I've got a lot of heat in there. I mean, I wasn't soldering by the capacitor. I'm puzzled as to where this short has come from, yeah. So let's get a bit of flux, and let's take this capacitor off the board first. This one, okay, and see whether that is what's causing the problem. Probably the easiest way to do this is to get a bit of heat in on both ends of it, yeah. Bit of leaded solder if I can onto it, yeah. And the same, I'll just turn it around and do the same from the other side. When I find it, it's here, it's here. It's this one, yeah. And I'll just get some heat into the board, and I'll try to just remove this with a soldering iron. Now let's just warm the general area up a bit, yeah. And I'll see if I can actually get the soldering iron to go across the capacitor, so I'm heating both sides at once, and then see whether it'll just come off, yeah. So it's easy to come in from the side, so it's into an angle, there we are, where I can actually get at it. Find a pair of tweezers, which I have around somewhere, yeah, tweezers. Well, let's see if I can actually get this capacitor off the board like this. Otherwise, we'll use hot air. Let's have a go. Yeah, I've moved it, yeah. It's now solved itself over here, of course. But that's not a problem. I can soon get it off there. There we go. Almost off my board. Come off my board. Yeah, it's stuck to the end of the soldering iron. Okay, so I've got that capacitor off. I'll just once again just clean up in this area where I've just been. Yeah, look through the microscope is easier for me. Okay, bit of a braid on that. So once again we break the circuit there. Let's see if the short's gone now. Let's see if we've still got a short on here or not. Okay, so from this pad here, yeah, somehow this trace here is shorted to ground, but this isn't. This is okay. And I can't for the life of me figure out how I've managed to do that. It's obviously something that I've done effectively, yeah. Let's just take this sort of bit of blob of solder off as well. Okay. So as I say, I've cleaned all this up and I've had a look. I mean, this ground here ends there, yeah. That doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go through onto this this area. So there's no short there. There isn't a short the other side. That's the other ground. So I am puzzled, guys. I don't know how that's got a short in that area. But what I can do for now, because we want to diagnose this thing, yeah, is stick the 19 volts into here, yeah. Just feed 19 volts in here off my bench power supply. I mean, we could, if I can't understand why this pad area is shorted, I could actually take a thick piece of wire from here and solder it to this and just bypass that little area. I mean, it doesn't do anything. There's no components on it apart from this one capacitor, which would just be like a decoupling, probably a 10 microfarad. And there's nothing on the other side here either. This one's on this side again. So let's go and stick the 19 volts in, and if we can figure out what the problem is. Again, you can see the ground, by the way, either side of here it ends, yeah. That's like the other side, so it's not shorting there. I just don't understand how I've actually managed to get a short when there's nothing there. We've had a bit of gunge there. If that was anything to do with it. Well, we can soon find that out. Let's just go again from. So this is where the short is. Yeah, it's still there, but not here. So all you've got one copper pad here, yeah, which you somehow magically shorting to ground. And if you look on the other side, a little bit of isopropyl just to clean it so you can see it properly. Yeah, that's it. And the other is like this pad here, yeah, which again is somehow automatically shortened to ground. It can't go here. There's nothing there, yeah. There's nothing there. For the life of me, I can't figure out how this pad has shorted to ground, but it is. So if it tilts up a little bit, you can probably see clearly. Yeah, there's no way for it to go there. I can only think that's shorted internally. I mean, I was getting a lot of heat in there trying to solder to this connector. Okay, so let's just put our 19 volts in here, and let's trace this a little bit further and see if we can figure out what's going on with this. I've soldered some wires on here, so I've effectively disconnected this first pad that for some reason is shorting to ground, although I can't find any reason why it would be doing that. So I've just attached the 19 volts here. This is attached to ground, and if I zoom out, you'll see I've got this attached to my bench power supply now. Okay, so we can see it all now. So yeah, I'm going to switch the bench power supply on and then see if we can figure out where this 19 volts is going. So it does appear through a MOSFET, and then this looks like a buck regulator to me. And I reckon these buck regulators here, and here. This will be for the battery charger, because it's right by the battery, I would say. These are going to, effectively deliver the lower voltages around the board. Okay, let's put the power on, and then let's see if we can just trace where that's going to go to. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's different. It's got a light on. Oh, well, not oh, but warm. It's got power on it. That was not hot enough to burn, but it was warm. Took me by surprise. It's gone cool again now. Oh, that doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, I can understand I put the 19 volts here, but I had 19 volts here before this, whatever was going on with this, and this wasn't lit up. Let's put the heatsink on and the CMOS battery, and let's put the RAM in. And yeah, I've got a VGA connector on here. Let's sort of kind of like connect this up to a VGA monitor, put the RAM and the CMOS and the heatsink, and let's see if it's actually doing anything now. Pretty strange. Okay. I need to get this over here so it's not shorting my bit of wire. I'll put a bit of Kapton tape over the wire and then I'll reattach this. I don't think it will short, I think it's under the plastic, yeah. But just to be certain. No, it's not going to short it, it's just... Well, yeah, it might short against this. Oh, and just to show it's fell off now, yeah. Okay, so I'll resolder that and then we'll put this on. Let's see what happens with it then. You know, I've put the CMOS battery back on. I've just fitted the heatsink and fan, plugged the fan in. This is the little start button on this bit of cable here. I've put the RAM in. Let's see. Oh, and the light's on. Fan isn't. Well, let's just press the button. Oh, the fan's running. Oh, it ran then stopped. Then the light's gone off. Light's back on again. Oh, the fan's running. And it keeps on running. Let's connect a VGA monitor to this and see if we've got anything coming out of it. Well, the fan stopped again and running again, so I don't think it's actually working exactly. Connecting the monitor to it. VGA. Do I have anything on the screen? No. Nothing on the screen. Have another light on here. Let's I'll switch it off again. Right, so all the lights are out. The battery's not connected, maybe so the charging light wouldn't be on, yeah, maybe. So power it on. And this time nothing happened. I know, press the button. Yeah, some lights flashing. Then this one's on. Oh, okay guys. Yeah. There you go. It's working. It's working. That's I've just positioned that cam. Well, that's another one. That's a bit nuts, that. I can't see for the life of me what I did here would make it work, because that short wasn't there. I mean, you could see originally I measured the 19 volts and it wasn't there until I tried to solder this connector. Okay, well, I'll fix this. So I'm now going to attach a wire from this connector to this pad, something more permanent across here. I'm going to put this back together and see if it actually works, you know, on its own screen. I'm guessing it will, but I don't know how I fixed it. Other thing I can think is this is another one like we had on the previous video, which I will link to this one in case you've not seen it, where I was tracing everything. And in the end, I took the CMOS battery out and put it back in again. It didn't make any difference. And then at one point, I took the CMOS battery out and left it out for a long time. And when I put the CMOS battery in after that, it worked. And I wonder if this is effectively the same problem. Okay, guys, let's sort this bit of wire. Let's solder it and let's put this together and see if it actually does work now. So I've soldered the wire effectively onto the end of this. It's very difficult to get to solder. It's like this metal that this connector is made of doesn't take the solder. It's obviously been broken off, and it might be I need to get another socket for this. But if I go into here, I definitely have a connection, yeah, from inside the connector, and I don't have a short to ground, yeah, so that's fine. I've put a bit of Kapton tape underneath that. I'm going to just fold it under the board and just stick it in place so it won't move, and then I'm just going to put the thing back together, yeah, put the fan on, stick it back into its case, and let's see if we get a picture on the inbuilt screen. Yes, that's got it. So I've now connected the charger. Well, the light comes on when I press the button. and I think then it starts. Yeah, yeah. The fan hasn't. I think the fan must kick in when it wants to, when it's warm enough. But I have a BIOS on the screen. Yeah, yeah. The fan's running now, and I have the BIOS screen. So yeah, let's put this one back together. But guys, that's fixed. That's done. That's working. Another one. I don't know. Dickie does it again. But somebody would just like to tell me how I actually managed to fix this one. Unless I just have a magic touch, I don't know. Anyway, good one. So there he says, all back together. Power's on. ASUS, and then it's just asking to insert a proper boot device. Yeah, but I mean, this came without a hard drive fitted. Yeah, so that's what it's going to do. Okay, that one's fixed then, so that can go back to the customer. I'm sure he'll be very happy to have that back. Yeah. As I say, I really don't know what was going on with that. It's like, how did I fix it? I don't know. I don't know, guys. But anyway, yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy. The job was done. Customer will be happy, and hope you guys are happy with that. Comments below, please, and I'll see you all very soon on the next one. Ciao for now.